Welcome to the deep dive. We basically do the heavy lifting for you, extracting key ideas so you're well informed without the hours of reading.
And today, we're getting to something pretty special. Be realistic. Plan for a miracle. These are talks from way back in 1976.
Right, and the interesting thing is, they're not just abstract ideas, they're responses, direct answers to real people, dealing with real stuff.
Exactly. So you'll find the topics are incredibly varied. Quite surprising, actually. We're hoping to pull out some perspectives that might resonate with you today.
Okay, so let's jump right in with something universal. Decisions. Making choices. The source brings up this idea for you. It's not always about picking A or B.
Right. Sometimes there's this hidden third problem going on underneath. Have you ever felt that? Like, you know the options, but you're still stuck.
Totally. And the talk suggests for you, maybe low energy is a factor. Like you end up deciding by default, just drifting.
Yeah, just drifting. So the key takeaway here for you is to look beyond the obvious. Don't just focus on what you think you have to do.
Ask what you want to do.
Exactly. What do you actually want? Remember that dentist example in the text? Is it obligation keeping you there, or is it a real, genuine desire? That changes the whole picture for you.
So what happens if you're just completely stuck? You can't decide at all. The advice here is maybe a bit surprising for you.
Yeah, it's not push harder.
This
It's remain suspended.
suspended. Just sit with it, with the not knowing.
Just be with the indecision. Now, I know for a lot of us, especially if you're action-oriented, that sounds, well, uncomfortable.
Definitely uncomfortable. Makes you want to just pick something, anything.
Right. But the source suggests this suspension period, this pause, it can actually be really useful for you. It gives things time to settle.
Settle. How so?
Well, maybe a clearer path just emerges naturally. Or the situation resolves itself without you having to force it. It's about trusting that sometimes, just being is the right action.
Okay, that's interesting. Now let's shift gears a bit, more internal now. That feeling. You know the one. When something inside you has definitely changed, but on the outside, your life looks identical.
Oh, yeah. The talks really dig into that paradox for you.
How do they explain it?
Well, there's this great analogy they use the mountain path. Imagine you walk for ages, and you end up somewhere that looks familiar, like you've been there before.
Okay.
But you're actually a bit higher up the mountain this time. Externally, it seems like maybe you haven't made progress.
Right, you're back in the same spot visually.
But internally, your view has changed. Your understanding is different. That real change, it happens in these deeper layers of consciousness. It can be hard to describe, but that inner shift is what really counts for you.
And getting to that higher path often involves discomfort, right? Something we generally try to avoid.
We do. But according to this source, that feeling, that sense of being stretched or uneasy, it's not just normal for you, it's actually essential.
Essential. How
Yeah.
so?
Think about it. The only state that's perfectly, totally comfortable is death, ultimately.
Okay, fair point.
Life means growing, adapting, expanding. And that often feels a bit, well, uncomfortable. The talks use this really evocative phrase for you: becoming an astronaut of inner space.
An astronaut of inner space. I like that.
Yeah, and exploring that inner space, especially if the change is happening fast, it's naturally going to bring up some fear. But the message for you is clear. Lean into that discomfort. That's where the vitality is. That's feeling truly alive.
The source also touches on watching your thoughts. A common practice, but it warns you about a potential trap.
Right, getting lost in layers. Like you start watching your thoughts and then you start watching yourself watching your
And
thoughts.
watching the watcher who's watching, yeah, it can get confusing.
Exactly. The core insight here for you is simple, but powerful.
Hmm.
You are the watcher. You're not the thoughts themselves.
So whatever you observe, thoughts, feelings, it's separate from your core self.
Precisely. Your fundamental reality as the observer can't actually be turned into an object you observe. You can't step outside you to look at you. Grasping that gives you some distance, doesn't it? Lets you see the mental chatter without getting totally sucked in.
Okay, let's talk energy. We all feel it, right? Those peaks of excitement, then the valleys, the times of rest or lower energy.
Absolutely. And what's interesting for you to notice is how much trouble your own mind can create by fighting those low periods.
We want to stay at the peak all the time.
We do. But these talks stress how vital those valleys are. They're not failures. They're essential for you to rest, to revitalize. They actually allow you to reach even higher peaks later on.
That makes sense. It also mentions telling loved ones.
Yeah, letting people close to you, when you're in one of those low phases. And the idea that real love means understanding and accepting you during those times. That's a valuable perspective for your relationships, isn't it?
Definitely. And building on that, it advises you against sort of straining against your energy levels. Your mind can push you to do things that are just not feasible.
Right. Things the source calls impossible or even stupid. It connects back to listening to your body. Your body, your energy levels, they give you honest feedback. They never lie.
So when your mind overrides that,
That's when you get internal conflict, overwhelm.
mhm.
Learning to tune into those physical cues is really key for your balance, for your well-being.
Now the talks touch on something quite heavy, facing the death of a loved one. It suggests this experience can be surprisingly integrating.
It depends entirely on how you approach it. That's the key insight for you. If you can meet it with openness, with honesty, it actually can lead to a kind of deep inner integration, a clarity about what really matters to you.
Wow. Okay. Shifting to something lighter. Sacred moments. Those unexpected flashes of beauty in daily life.
Yes, like the sound of rain on the roof, or maybe just the way sunlight comes through trees. Simple things.
And there's an exercise suggested for you.
Yeah, and it's quite specific. To pick one such moment and really relive it in detail, using all your senses. Do this every day for a week.
Why? What's the benefit for you?
It's about savoring them, letting them sink in deeper. It can help you cultivate more gratitude for the present, for those little wonders you might normally rush past.
Okay. Meditation comes up next. And the perspective here is quite refreshing for you, isn't it? It's natural, like breathing, not some special talent.
That's such an important point for you to hear. Sometimes meditation seems so complicated, all these techniques.
Right, like you need years of training.
But these talks suggest that even just listening deeply, maybe even listening to us talk right now, can be a form of meditation for you. It helps that busy everyday self to quiet down.
So you can slip out of the usual mental grooves.
Exactly. Find moments of stillness, of just being.
The source also talks about moving away from parents, specifically the mother figure, as a sign of maturity for you.
Yeah, it's presented as a necessary, healthy step in your growth. Like a baby moving beyond milk, you need to develop your own independent life, form new bonds.
And it mentions a revolt against the father figure, too.
Yes, but not out of anger or disrespect. It's more about you stepping into your own authority, your own freedom, while still respecting the source. Finding your own way.
It seems the mind often resists when big changes are coming for you. The source calls the mind the establishment. It gets nervous.
Doesn't it just? That resistance is totally natural for you. Your mind loves the familiar, the known. So when it senses you're about to break a pattern, it throws up roadblocks.
So meditation is like rebellion.
In a way, yeah. Rebellion against those self-imposed limits. The talks suggest getting support, like from groups, and really sticking with tough meditations sometimes. Becoming a kind of warrior against your own mind for a bit.
A warrior against the mind, just for a short period, to regain control.
Exactly. To break through that resistance and regain your inner steering wheel.
Now here's a really interesting idea for you. When you relax, you shift from absorbing negative energy to absorbing positive energy.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
The analogy they use is powerful. The negative person near a rose bush who only sees the thorns.
While someone relaxed might see the flowers.
Precisely. Your inner state totally filters what you perceive and take in. Relaxation makes you receptive to a whole different frequency, a positive energy that might have been invisible to you before.
The speaker in these talks, he refers to himself as a vehicle or medium helping the listener, helping you.
Which really emphasizes that the work is ultimately yours. You are doing it for yourself, the guide, the speaker. They're just facilitators for your own discovery. It's empowering for you, not about creating dependency.
And group experiences come up again, helping you reach deeper states. Someone even describes feeling like Mother Earth.
It points to the power of shared energy, doesn't it? How being in a supportive group can unlock deeper awareness, maybe even intuitive feelings within you. That interconnectedness, that intuition, it's presented as something inherent in you.
Okay, this next bit is quite a story. A man is told by a Jain monk he'll die in 3 months. It really shows the power of suggestion for you.
It's incredibly striking, because even if the monk's observation was somehow accurate, delivering it as a final judgment, well, had a devastating potential.
But the speaker intervened.
Yes, and the man lived. It just highlights that powerful link for you between your beliefs, your expectations, and even your physical health. How easily influenced we can be, for good or bad.
And connecting back to that earth feeling, that intuition, the advice for you is to think 3 times before speaking those hunches.
It acknowledges that intuition can be subtle. It suggests being mindful about how and when you share those insights, for them to be truly effective, that grounded, receptive earth feeling seems key to nurturing that inner knowing for you.
The name Ma Anansoma gets explained blissful moon, leading to a specific practice for you.
Meditating on the moon, but with soft, empty eyes. Not concentrating hard. It's offered as a gentle way for you to cultivate receptivity, peace, aligning with those moon-like qualities.
Habits. They run so much of our lives. The source points out you can even become an expert in negative stuff, like sadness. That story about the blind man is telling for you.
It really is. It shows how repetition locks things in, even unwanted things. So the counter strategy for you is disruption.
How?
Do something totally unexpected when sadness hits. And crucially, never do the same unexpected thing twice. Otherwise, the mind just makes a new habit out of the disruption.
Huh. Keep the mind guessing, like reacting to anger with a hug.
Exactly. Totally throws the pattern off. It's about breaking those automatic negative leaps for yourself.
Comparison, competition. They're everywhere. The advice for you is to listen beyond words, to listen to someone's being. The example about Vipassana is quite moving.
It really is. Reacting to her words, "I am mad," then the shame after her death. It shows the danger of surface judgments and the ego traps your mindsets. Listening to someone's essence, their being, fosters a deeper, more compassionate connection for you. Less judgment.
Then there's the idea of living each moment fully, intensely, like it's your last. How does that connect to grief for you?
Well, that guilt we often feel when someone dies. The source links it for you to the feeling that maybe you didn't love them enough, didn't appreciate them enough while they were here.
Because you weren't living those moments fully.
Exactly. Each moment is unique, unrepeatable. It's a call for you to engage with life, with your relationships, with real presence and gratitude. Now,
And a healthy life needs balance, right? Between the inner world and the outer world, the in and the out.
yes, fixation on either throws you off balance. Too much outer focus, you neglect yourself. Too much inner focus, you might withdraw from life. The key for you is finding that natural flowing rhythm between them.
There's a specific practice mentioned for dealing with sharp pain, physical or emotional. It sounds intense.
It does. It's about going into the pain,
Mm.
accepting it totally, not fighting it, until it becomes like a single needle point.
Oh.
And then, paradoxically, it can just disappear. It challenges your instinct to resist pain. Full acceptance seems to dissolve its power, at least according to this source.
Okay, what about relationships? Being truthful. The source says it's risky, right? No guarantees the relationship survives your authenticity.
It acknowledges that risk, absolutely. But the argument for you is powerful.
Mm.
It's better to be real and potentially separate than to be unreal and stay together based on pretense.
Truth comes first.
That's the fundamental law presented for you. Sacrifice yourself for truth if necessary, but never sacrifice truth for anything else.
Which might explain why we sometimes tell strangers more truth than loved ones.
Exactly. The perceived stakes are lower with a stranger. You don't have the same unconscious fears, fear of judgment, hurting them, consequences that often inhibit you with people you're close to.
Okay, groups again. One benefit mentioned is helping you find balance.
Right. The idea is that the group dynamic can moderate extremes in you. Someone very cautious might find courage to take a risk. Someone may be a bit reckless, might become more grounded, more alert, finding a healthier middle ground for yourself.
And if you're feeling unhappy, the source is clear. It starts inside you, right? Not because of external things like your name.
Ultimately, yes.
Uh,
While circumstances affect mood, deep unhappiness often has internal roots. It also stresses finding that balance for you between being alone and being with people. Don't use solitude just to hide out of fear.
so being here but remaining alone, that's about staying centered.
Being present, engaged with the world, but maintaining your inner core, your sense of self, not getting swept away by everything around you.
Fear of death, fear of change. The talks say there's no escape from inner work for you.
Pretty much. Clinging, resisting change. That's what causes the misery for you. Loneliness isn't necessarily bad, it's a natural part of being. Aloneness, understood properly by you, becomes freedom, a private space for renewal.
I like the lamp analogy for relationships.
Me too. The lights mingle. That's love, connection. But the flames, the sources of light, remain distinct. Your innermost core, your center, remains yours alone. That's necessary for your resilience.
And don't just pick one side of life, like relationships or solitude.
Right, that's like nailing the pendulum of a clock, it says. You need both for a full life. Embrace the connection and the aloneness. That funny line about sending people away so they'll come back, it speaks to that dynamic of needing space.
Okay, learning skills.